Cecilia Flores de Maduro, la primera dama, a esta
So
reunión
we are
como parte
live
de la
with
agenda de
images in
trabajo.
Caracas as
Observamos como el
President
jefe de
Maduro
Estado salió.
meets with Security Cabinet to discuss different security situations right now in the country. We're seeing live images as the President is greeting all the officials that have gathered here. This comes as we had previously in teleSUR as well, with this Minister of Interior, Peace and Security, Diosdado Cabello, denouncing the far-right plans to try to destabilize and to prevent election of May 25th to take place from taking place. So this is a meeting of the Security Cabinet led by the President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, who will be providing statements very shortly as the meeting commences. Please repeat, these are live images coming straight from Caracas.
Esperamos entonces que todos estos puntos discutidos en la sala el día de hoy.
So we can expect all topics to be analyzed here of what Diosdado was denouncing. Good afternoon to all the families that are watching us on medias, on the networks. Today, Sunday, May 19th, 2025. Today is the 100th birth anniversary of Malcolm X, hero of the struggles for the liberation of the US people, hero of the struggle of the oppressed people of the world, who was assassinated when he barely had 40 years, Malcolm X. Truly his life was one like a movie, a hard life, difficult life, with his family, the neighborhood where he grew up. He was in prison, and then he had a renaissance of a very powerful leader, Malcolm X. From Venezuela, we say honor and glory to Malcolm X and to the powerful movement for the struggle of equality and civil rights of the United States of America. A legendary movement. In those years, they killed Malcolm X. They had already killed John F. Kennedy. They had already killed Robert Kennedy. And they had already killed Martin Luther King. But how many people has the U.S. empire killed within its lands to prevent an awakening of the conscience of its people? They did what was possible and even impossible using violence back then against the strength, democratic strength and alternative within the United States. That's why the 100th birth anniversary of Malcolm X must be celebrated with all honors and to immortally maintain his spirit and message. So greetings to all the Venezuelan people. We are in the Hall Simón Bolívar of this presidential home, the Miraflores Palace, the presidential home of the people, precisely with the team that guaranteed the victory of peace and security. This is the team of peace, of security. Miss Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, who celebrated her birthday yesterday. Congratulations, Diosdado Cabello, who comes from a very important press conference just a few minutes ago. Vladimir Paño Lopez, President of Citizen Security. We were together in Russia in an important strategic tour of the new world that is birthing. Vice President of Sovereign Nationality, Minister of Public Ministry, Hernández Lares, the strategic commanders, commanders of the Bolivarian Army, of the Air Force, the national militias, captains and commanders of Miranda, La Guaira, all present here.
Jefe de la Guardia de Honor Presidencial y comandante de la Dirección General de Contrainteligencia Militar, la gloriosa y legendaria DGCIM.
The head of the Military Counterintelligence General Directorate, General Director of the Intelligence Service, National Intelligence Service, General Commissioner, Director of the Criminalist Investigation,
penales y criminalística, antigua PTJ. Lo que pasa es que nosotros que venimos de la Romana antigua todavía le decimos la PTJ.
Those that come from the old guard, we still not call it from the old name. As a fact, Celia was a detective from that organization. She still carries what she used to carry back then when she was part of the organization. So, greetings to all the police personnel. Same way, General Santiago, National Director of the Bolivarian National Police. The whole team that has the experience and has the capacity for imperfect military, civic, popular military union, guarantee the rights, the constitutional rights of all our people to peace, to stability, to tranquility. A good constitutional lawyer would say, like Herman, he would say, for the use and his right to choose, his right to sovereignty, to popular sovereignty. Venezuela this Sunday will happily go to the 32nd election, a first time that there is a combined election of regional and governance of legislative councils and for the National Assembly. This means it's doubly important at the first level, and our people knows this. In the world, they censor this. There's a silence. No one wants to say that this is the 32nd election. So they are lying, they are manipulating the information of these great medias of the US and Europe. They are censoring. They don't want it to be known that the Venezuelan people is actively participating on their streets as part of a great electoral debate. They don't want to know the people to know that the Venezuelan people go to the 32nd election as mandated by the Constitution. Here, as I said, there have been always rain, thunderstorms, but all elections have been carried out with invasion threats, guarimbas, economic war. The elections have been held. There are leaders in the world here from Latin America that say, I do not share I do not share that opinion, but they have told me this in private, that in Venezuela, amidst this massive blockade that the US empire has on Venezuela, they think that Venezuela should not hold elections. We have all heard this in private. I do not agree with that, because no one can take away the right to the people to elect, to vote, to participate, to have their authorities. Why would it be taken away? With economic wars, they make us suffer, yes. Well, we know how to resist. And we know how to move forward. That's why this year we have had more elections. Constitutional elections, that I refer to them like this, are the elections to elect authorities, mayorships, municipal councils, governance, National Assembly, the presidency. From that point of view, this is the 32nd election in 26 years. What country in the world has done that? What country? Can anyone tell me? No one can say it, because no one has done it. Venezuela. The besieged, the vilified, the attacked, the Christian. But we go with the Spirit of Christ, always, of resurrection to resurrection, from victory to victory. And that's what's going to happen next Sunday, May 25th. And the date is set with the power of God Almighty to be a day of peace, stability, happiness, participation, and of sovereign decision of voters, of citizens, of the people, because the power is in your hand. You women, men, you have the power. You have the power. And you are responsible that in Venezuela there is peace. And your vote is a guarantee for peace. I would say, in the face of the threats that have been denounced by our colleague Diosdado Cabello, that 38 new mercenaries detained. The Albanese mafia that governs Ecuador sent parts of its mercenaries, trained mercenaries, to put bombs in Venezuela, and they have been detained. The Albanese mafia has been denounced. We have them. They were detained, and 3 phones have been seized, and the phones are speaking. The Albanese mafia. And why the Albanese mafia from Ecuador? Albanese Colombian. Drug trafficking from Colombia, Albania, and from Novoa in Ecuador. Why? Because Eric Prince is there. And if Eric Prince is there, then the US empire is present as well. They are behind everything. But if they are behind everything, then we know, and we know how to act in perfect harmony, civic, military, and police union. And in the face of those that want violence, sabotage, explosion, and bullets, I tell them, vote yes, guarimbas no. Vote yes, violence no. Vote sí, bullet no. Vote, vote, vote. Go to vote next Sunday for peace, for stability, as an example of sovereignty before drug trafficking mafias from Ecuador, Albania, and Colombian, and from the US empire. 1,000 demons conspiring, well, 1,000 angels fighting it. Millions of angels flying, and those angels are the people, men and women, that are watching this in this beautiful day, cool day of this Monday, May 19th afternoon of the year 2025. Here is the team that has to guarantee, next to the popular power, Miss Vice President, colleague Diosdado, with the people, everything. Without the people, nothing. We are the people, a uniformed people, an empowered people. I am a people president. Officials from the people, commissioners from the people, generals from the people, vice president of peoples. We are all the people. But we are here thanks to the common men and women. I'm here thanks to them, and I know why I'm here and for whom I'm here and where I come from and where I have to go. My mind has not been clouded nor my ego has been swollen because I'm a president and I live in this palace and I travel all over. I know very well where I'm standing and where my roots are, and they are in that brave, victorious and heroic people that we have, admired by the whole world, and that we have known how to make our own path. As Bolivar always said, colleagues from the military that are listening, students from all academies, from all the Bolivarian Army Academy. Bolivar fell back then in the late 1800s, and certainly at that moment, as the conflict was almost being resolved of the declaration of the incorporation of Maracaibo to the free provinces, the armistice was broken. We have two historian generals that have studied history, and surely there were some that said, liberator, no, we cannot accept the liberation of Maracaibo. I'm certain that that happened. No one wrote it, but one with the experience that gets, one might be able to see what the debate was for Bolivar to say what he said. And I'm sure that people were telling him, look, Bolivar, great liberator. Well, Murillo recognized us with a signature of the armistice and the regulation of the war. Why are we going to break the armistice? Let's continue speaking with Murillo and to continue move forward with Murillo. Maracaibo have to wait, and Bolivar said no. Maracaibo will not have to wait for anyone. It will be free, and if Murillo wants to break the armistice, we are ready and prepared. Bolivar had the Carabobo campaign in his mind, and the troops moving in the south and the west and the east, and doing all the different operations that you refer as the campaign, but there are some distraction campaigns. He was already making all these campaigns of taking Caracas and the movement in the south, because he had a main objective to go in full strength and destroy the Imperial Army and the King of Spain and Pablo Murillo, who was here, and it was strong. It was superior in technology and weaponry and in many other aspects, but it didn't have superiority in the heart. Like, took us to Carabobo and took us to Ayacucho. We were superior in our love for this land and freedom. So in that moment, Bolivar was very clear, and he said, prudence. Look at the word that he used. Prudence, because they were telling him, I'm sure that he had to be prudent. And then he said, prudence counsels to wait nothing from Spain, not trust our luck, but only our strength. And I say, prudence counsels that we don't trust anything from the U.S. empire, from the fascist oligarchy, but that we trust our luck to our strength, to our popular military police union, and to our constitutional capacity of this country to move forward independently, sovereignly, without looking to the sides, but only looking forward. So it is necessary to adjust and to finalize properly all plans. As Diosdado Cabello was saying before, I want to greet all the leaders of the regions, of defense regions that are connected. If you can raise your hands over there, the leaders of the different areas, the leaders of the police forces in all states and regions of the country. I want to ratify what Diosdado was saying at noon. We cannot say everything, even though we are doing everything. We know that there is a system, an international system that is controlled by the empire, what they call the global empire of the West, that turns mercenaries, terrorists, that puts office and gives them an ID of defender of human rights for those that move the money to finance the bombs that kill people, and then when justice takes actions, the courts, the attorney generals act, then they quickly come out and say and declare them great defenders of human rights, and what they are planning is acts of terrorism. Always we have to act according to the law, to the Constitution, strictly, every time even more. Because through the path of truth and justice is all possible. We have seen miracles in the defense to the right of peace of Venezuela, always through peace and justice, with a lot of intelligence, with boldness, with a great capacity, professional capacity, and with great collaboration, national and international, of great friends. Because we discovered this because there are good people in the world, and in Venezuela, that we are always paying attention, listening, and they send message, early alerts. I want to thank so many people, so many good people in our country that activate their mechanism of intelligence permanently, and so many good people outside of our country, close to our country, and many of them far away from our country, that are paying attention and everything that they see and listen. They tell us to continue strengthening the care of peace and tranquility and the right to life of Venezuela. You have to continue taking action. The actions are in full development. The plans are perverse. We have experience to neutralize them. We have a vast experience, and we are neutralizing them. They have not stopped in their attempts to attack the power system, and we have to very quickly reinforce all the plans of protection of the power plants, from the communities to all the great generators, the first lines. Protection of the power system. Remember that on July 28th, days before, we suffered an attack that was going to create a whole blackout in Venezuela. And on July 28th, we suffered an attack that wanted to leave Venezuela completely blackout. So we have to pay attention to this. We have to act strongly. The system that we talked the other time, I don't know if you remember, active intelligence, military, popular, and police, patrols, well-coordinated patrols in the quadrant of peace. And we have to be able to react quickly before any situation. We have to have a rapid reaction from police, popular, and military, intelligence, patrols, and reaction. What was the name? IMPREC. IMPRE. Intelligence, patrol, and reaction. Immediate reaction. That's still valid for today. For July 28th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30, you know all the coordinations that were made. They wanted to set fire to the country, to call for an invasion, a mercenary invasion to the country. And we know there was a great victory of legality and constitution and peace of the country. A rapid victory in 48 hours, even though they did harm, without a doubt, they did harm. from there, well, they were strongly active by the end of December to prevent what was impossible to prevent. That on January 10th, the people would have a swearing ceremony for the president of the Republic, of the Venezuelan Republic, and everything crumbled in their hands. At noon, when the president of the people was sworn in that brilliant and blessed event, their threats were failed history of the past once more. It was a good test that we endured, and we went over that test with a happy people, sovereign, working people. That was the last great threat. The rest has been conspiracy to harm here and there. Well, this is a struggle, a constant struggle for our country, a struggle for a new economic political model, the struggle for our independence, and that group that has strong relations with very powerful people in the US government, family relations, and this will be known what I'm saying, family relationship with members of the mafias, the criminals, the most criminals of the US power. They won't stop. That's why I always say, we, Venezuelans, when an electoral process comes around, we must always, we always must prepare to go to an electoral campaign, and that's what we do. And our people, especially this week, we're going to see this. Our people gets ready for great mobilizations, events, mainly festive ones. We have seen house from house of all candidates, 6,500 candidates. And I say to all those 6,500 candidates, are you gonna let someone take away the right for the people to decide who is going to be the governor, the mayor, or regional legislator? Who will decide this? An ambush full of violence from Maria Corina and her family relationships with the diabolic power of the US, or the sovereign peaceful people? Who decides in Venezuela? The US empire? And 4 evil people, sellouts, or you? Who is in charge? I have no doubt of what the answer is. Here, it has been decided. We'll decide. And next Sunday, the decision will be made by the noble, heroic, and brave Venezuelan people in the full exercise to vote, to elect, and to govern its country. So the team is fully activated in A1 condition, that if it is necessary, we will change the condition so that all of you and your teams, with lots of professionalism, can continue doing what must be done. Doing what must be done in the framework of the Constitution. And let those that want to cry, cry. We know the cowardice of the High Commissioner of Human Rights, Volker Turk. A girl was kidnapped. 2-year-old girl was kidnapped. And I called him, and I told him. And he did nothing. Not even a single call Volker Turk made. I called him. Over 253 Venezuelan workers. The history will be known of every one of them at the right moment. And he has done nothing. Now I'm calling him to denounce the grave cases that we have discovered of other children that have been kidnapped in the United States of Venezuelan nationality. Very grave cases that we have discovered in the last hours, in the last days. Now, Volker Turk, the High Commissioner of Human Rights, that's always in Washington, that received orders from the European Union, there he comes to defend the people that are financing the terrorists that are captured by the Venezuelan institutions. There he does comes out and defend those people. And why did he not defend the girl? Those institutions, foreign minister, those institutions of the United Nations are kidnapped by the conspirators at the hands of the West, under the orders of the U.S. Western Empire. All those institutions have been kidnapped and are being used as an instrument to support and protect the aggression against Venezuela. And they believe that a statement, a warning made by their media will stop the Venezuelan state in their fully legitimate exercise to defend itself. The Venezuelan state will defend itself. And in justice, it will demonstrate the truth of this conspiracy that will be once again dismantled and defeated. 38 mercenaries have been detained in the last hours. And Operation Tuntun, Diosdado, is active. And I call for all support from the Venezuelan people. You know the importance of the elections of this Sunday. They are going to be your governors, your regional governments. They are very close to you. It's your direct authority, and only you have the right to elect them. You know the importance that the National Assembly has for the stability of Venezuela, for the political stability, the cultural stability, the social and economic stability of our country, for the defense of national sovereignty. In your hands is to take the decision next Sunday. We, in our hands, is to guarantee the safety of our people through the Republic Plan. Reinforce, activated, mobilize. Our people is the one that is going to elect to whoever the majority decides to choose. And that the majority decides to choose, there will be no human strength or supernatural strength to stop that authority elected by the people takes office of their governance for the 24 states of the country. 23 states plus 1. Because it's going to be the first time, in the name of our liberator Simon Bolivar, of all our liberators, that Venezuela will elect its governors and government of the Guayana Esequiba state, sovereign state of Venezuela, and it will choose the deputies of Guayana Esequiba. All this in compliance with the mandate of the referendum on December of the year 2023, where the people decided, answering 5 questions, decided the path to the recovery, the legal recovery of the territory of Guayana Esequiba, a territory that was born with Venezuela, free and independent. So we're gonna now do the meeting to continue fine-tuning details, and that our people can feel tranquility and safety. 54 political parties are taking part in this election of all colors and forms. Candidates, until even if you don't say it, the international media, they silence this. They don't want it to be known. Despite your censorship, we will break your censorship. We will burst the teeth of your censorship. Medias and networks that block Venezuela, that hide the reality of the country. More than 6,500 candidates. Any one of them can win. As the song says, any one of us could triumph. That's what will happen next Sunday. Anyone can triumph. We have gone to the campaign with faith, with hope, with proposals, with respect. You have not seen any of our candidates insult anyone, threaten anyone. They have gone to the streets to look for the popular conscience. They have gone to the streets to interchange with the critics of the common men and women. They have gone to the streets to go home to home, millions of homes. And I've also seen candidates from different oppositions doing the same effort. Here and there, in the peoples, in the neighborhoods, in the streets, mobilizing with full guarantees. It's very difficult. After one sees the elections in Ecuador, for example, with dozens of assassinations, with a state of siege that was declared, with changing the polling stations 24 hours before the elections, with candidates that have military operations like the February commandos to be able to do their political acts. After one sees an Ecuador as a failed state full of drug trafficking, violence and death, after you see in other countries violent incidents, to be able to say from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela that it has been a clean and without a single incident of any kind, nothing has happened to any candidate, that says a lot of the Venezuela that has been vilified by all those sellouts. It's a lot to say about a Venezuela that enjoys its right to peace. And we must continue to enjoy our right to peace. We must continue to enjoy our tranquility. Last weekend was Mother's Day, and I was traveling from Russia, receiving reports. Records was broken of commercial transactions. But anyone could say, no, that stopped there. This weekend that passed, it was no longer Mother's Day. The record was broken again of commercial transaction that happened the weekend before in supermarkets, in restaurants, in movie theaters. That's the right that we guarantee for our people. Full enjoyment of the right to happiness. Our struggle is for peace, is for happiness, and we have struggled so much, and we have obtained so many victories, and I'm certain that with this powerful team, we're going to May 25th and beyond May 25th to another great victory of stability, peace, union, and Venezuela will come out better and will be even better after this great test. Everyone over paying attention, on their toes, and active intelligence from the people, patrol and capacity of reaction. Long live free Venezuela. Long live the peace of our homeland. Vote, vote, vote. Thank you very much. See you later.
Né? Então eu acho que isso por si só já é uma bandeira, eu acho assim, né? Tipo, e sempre na minha fotografia também eu busco, não é que eu busque de maneira consciente, mas assim, eu sempre estou retratando um lado positivo, um lado de autoestima, valorizando a autoestima, né, das pessoas, do que a miséria, por exemplo, né? Que é uma realidade que eu não tenho nada contra as fotos que retratam essa questão mais assim social. move mais, assim. As crianças, por exemplo, me movem profundamente, é uma coisa que mexe muito comigo, né? A espontaneidade. E eu pouco mexo nas imagens, assim, pouco mexo na cena. Eu quase nunca arrumo, peço alguma coisa. É claro que sim, que eu respeito. Se eu estou numa determinada situação e a pessoa não quer ser fotografada, eu não fotografo. Eu não vou lá e